Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 111. In this game I was black, my opponent was white, and he went for the London system. So let's check out how we got there. d4, I play my usual knight f6. Sometimes I play d5 to go into a Slav, but well, I alternate, and my other main move is knight f6. So he could play c4 here to stay in normal queen's pawn territory, or knight f3 is another way of, it's a flexible move, but it also allows the London system, knight f3 followed by bishop f4. Bishop g5 here would be the Trompowsky. The immediate bishop f4 is a bit unusual, but I don't know of anything particularly wrong with it. And I go for my usual fianchetto setup against the London system. And now again he could play knight f3, but he plays e3. And then after I fianchetto my bishop, then he plays knight f3, and we've gotten back into a typical London system position. And now I could just castle or play d5 or d6. But I like to play c5 and try and undermine the center immediately. And if he allows it, a lot of times white will play c3 to protect the center. But in this case, white went for bishop e2. Let's just look at the notation tab from now on. We're out of the book. Now I can just take this pawn in the center, and I'm exchanging one of my flank pawns for one of the center pawns. So in the long run, it gives me a little more center influence. And I also have the idea of launching a minority attack here with my two pawns against these three. So this is pretty much equal. Black is pretty much equalized at this point. So I castle, and the development continues normally for a while. There was an interesting moment right here. I was a little worried about taking the knight, which is probably the most natural move and was recommended by the chess engine. So what I wasn't sure about, it's a new variation, right, is after he takes the pawn, I didn't know how stable my knight would be here on e4. For example, white might try something like this to try and trap the knight. But it turns out it doesn't work. Basically, black can counterstrike in the center immediately. And, of course, if he takes here, the knight can take back, and so the knight is safe. If he continues with this plan of trying to trap the knight, say these pawns take away all the knight squares, you can take here. And now if the bishop retreats, black has just won a pawn, and the knight has squares to go to. And if he takes the knight, then this is a position where black is again a pawn up, and it's a good position for black. So anyway, there was no need to worry about playing knight takes e5, although it does take time to calculate that, and in a blitz game I wasn't sure. So I played queen e8 instead, just defending my knight, and he gets a little something going here. He gets some pressure, and he could continue here instead of bishop e5. If he were to continue with queen a4, putting more pressure on this, that's a way for white to keep and maintain an advantage. So he's already got a slight advantage due to my play earlier, and but now it turns into more or less an equal game for a while. So things get exchanged off, and I continue with my minority attack idea. And I think the next interesting point is here. Yeah, there was absolutely no need to give him that pawn. I could just play queen b6 or something and continue. So white gets the advantage here because I basically just gave away a pawn. But, pawn is not the end of the game. The game continues. And then he gets some king side initiative. He's pretty safe on the queen side, so he doesn't have to worry about this some more. My minority attack idea is pretty much gone. You need a couple of pawns at least to push forward and force some exchanges. So he's pretty much got a free hand on the king side to attack, which he does. And let's see, right around here, I should have played h5 and stopped this advance. He plays h5 himself, and now he's undermining. So the move before that, in this position, instead of moving my rook, I probably should have played h5 there to hold off his advances. But his advantage is still not completely winning. It's just getting more difficult to defend. He's got his pieces in pretty good positions here, and he just didn't quite continue in the most precise way. I think here around. No, let's go on a few moves. He's still maintaining an advantage through this part of the game. Is right here, queen d2. The engine prefers a queen coming out to g3, I guess with multiple ideas. One is with the queen, let's back up. The queen comes over to g3. It could from there go back to this square, or it could come in and invade this way. And so, but the idea is that the rooks could reshuffle. You really want the rooks in front of the queen in a case like this where you're attacking a fixed target, because you want your least valuable pieces to lead the way. So that's one idea. I think he had kind of the same idea. He's just reorganizing on this side, maybe not quite as accurate. Lets my queen get into the game. And right here, after queen d1, he left the h-pawn hanging. I could have just taken that pawn. That would have equalized completely. But I was attracted by this idea. And it turns out there's a draw here. If I sack my rook on g2 and then come in and check with my queen on f2, I can get at least a draw by perpetual check. But I was still playing for a win here. And this is a good move, this check here. I missed that. The rook gets to a square where it's in my camp and forces my king over to the side of the board, sets up various potential mating ideas. And then the follow-up, this one is a very computerish move. I have to say. The chess engine here recommends white follow up with the move queen to g4 and keep an advantage. That's leaving the square on f2 completely undefended. So that's what I was saying. It's a very computerish move. Hard to believe that a human player would be willing to play that in a blitz game. Maybe someone who's very good at calculating could figure all that out, but not a very human move. And so here, rook f1 allows the move rook f2, and once again, this is an equal position. Computer rates this as 0-0. So it managed to survive my loss of a pawn and fight back to equality. And this move here, rook takes f2, is actually a mistake, and now I can win the game. And I start out okay. Queen takes f2 check is the first move. I left this as a puzzle in my earlier video called A Short Note. So I'm giving you the answer to that puzzle now. And the first move is the same. Queen takes f2 check. That's what I played. It's this move here. If you want to pause the video and think about it, if you didn't see that puzzle or you haven't worked it out before, it's the second move that's really the key to the puzzle, or the tactic. So what does black play here? Okay, I'm going to give the answer away. Pause the video if you want more time. Anyway, the answer is rook to f4. Pretty simple idea. You just want the rook to come over here and checkmate him. And now white can't really stop this idea without giving up material. So that's the best way to continue the attack. I didn't notice that during the game, and I played queen f1 check. And so now this simplifies into a rook and pawn ending. I thought I might have some chances here because his pawns are weak. But I have some weaknesses too, and he just went in for a perpetual check. Turns out I asked the chess engine about it, and also if he were to take this pawn, which I thought he was going to do, that also turns out to be a draw as well. So this was a fair result here since I missed my winning chance, and the game was drawn. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again later. Bye.